I entered hustle culture for 1 month. Here's what I learned. A lot of these broke boys don't have a 6-hour morning routine and wonder why they're broke. I wake up at 3 a.m. and jump straight into a 3-hour edging session. Optimize testosterone production, get that going straight away. Right after that, I'll dry scoop 150 grams of whey protein and give my toilet a good seeing to. Show it who's boss. Then I'll go ahead and tip my landlord as a show of gratitude for all that he does for society, right? Because I understand that whatever I put out into the world comes back tenfold, and I can't think of a better person deserving of more money than my landlord. Real hard-working, down-to-earth people, you know. Then I'll hunker down and get some solid work in. 25-hour deep work block, cold calling old people and convincing them that I have their favorite grandchild kidnapped. And for me to set them free, they have to send me a $100 Walmart gift card. A lot of these young guns online, they want to get rich, but they're not willing to scam and traumatize old people. And to that, I just say, stay broke then. Someone's got to make me coffee, right? You might have the perception that more work equals more results. And to a certain extent, you would be correct. But when does it become too much?
When I was broke, I couldn't sleep. I'm not saying that, please understand me. When I was broke, I couldn't sleep. I'd be trying to go to bed thinking, how the these people have Ferraris? I want a Ferrari. I couldn't sleep.
I actually fell into a hustling culture work cycle over the last month, not on purpose, but because of actually stress. I had a few uncertainties and anxieties I hadn't really dealt with properly. I have a lot of change in my life currently, and I don't tend to deal with change in the healthiest of ways. I was also dealing with a massive lack of direction, especially with the content I was making on YouTube. But such is the trials and tribulations of life, right? My way of dealing with these things was to work 12 hours a day and neglect all other areas of my life. And it was under the guise of being a masculine provider male that I did this. I have to sacrifice, I have to suffer. I stopped looking after myself. I stopped doing small things which made me happy. I even stopped going to the gym. I'd wake up, I'd grab my laptop, I'd go to the office, and I'd work for 12 hours. And if I wasn't working in the sense of doing like actual things like typing and etc., all I was doing was pacing, thinking about what I should be doing. I'd order food in, I wouldn't see any friends, I was completely consumed by my work. And you might be wondering what sort of results that this yielded. Can't say that word. I mean, for 12 hours of the day, my mind was completely consumed by business. Surely this produced some epic fucking results for you, Sam. After all, input equals output, right? The interesting thing about life, and people who actually understand this truly become great at what they do, is that energy is incredibly sticky. The energy that you're putting out into the world will actually come back to you multiplied. And I know a lot of you boys are probably already thinking like, oh guys, going into the spiritual shit, so gay. Shut up, Sam, just tell us how to edge efficiently for 3 hours. But trust me, any man, strong masculine provider male that you look up to, they utilize their spiritual energy to produce tangible results in the physical world. And if you're turning a blind eye to this stuff because you've been conditioned to believe that spirituality is gay and airy-fairy and doesn't exist, your results are going to suffer. I promise you. Everything you say or do has energy behind it. My 12-hour work days were fueled by a sense of scarcity and uncertainty. And so the results that I saw in my business reflected just that. My business didn't do very well. My content did terribly. It didn't really resonate with anyone. And more importantly, my mental health went to the absolute dirt. I was in a very vicious cycle of chasing what I wanted rather than attracting. And the lack of results that I was getting for my chasing only made things worse. As this cycle continued, my mental health continued to get worse and worse. I was absolutely fucking miserable. There were nights where I woke up at 3 a.m. with just a massive cortisol spike, and the first thought that I would have in my mind was, I have to work. And over the rare occasions where I was around other people, like I was just really disassociated, constantly like in my own head. You could look at me and just see like this gray cloud over me, you know? I wasn't myself, man. And it was like this for an entire month. But what kept me going through that period of suffering is the understanding that every single time I've been through some horrible shit in the past, I've always prevailed. And I've not only prevailed, I've actually thrived. I've become a far better man for it. Such is the way of life. I knew it was going to be the same deal here, so I just sort of came to a level of acceptance. I accepted the fact that I was going to suffer for a period of time because I needed to learn a new lesson, right? And that's a very empowering thought. I could have eased the pain, I could have smoked weed, I could have ignored my problems, but I continued to face them head on because I've come to the realization that things don't happen to me, they happen for me. For me. If I've been through this in the past, then I can certainly beat this, what's going on right now. And even though everything feels very catastrophic right now and it feels like my world is falling apart, if I was to zoom out on the grand scale graph of my life, this is so insignificant. This is just a learning lesson that I had to suffer before I actually received it. Simple as that. And maybe I prolonged my suffering because generally speaking, I am a stubborn person. This is often the case. Nevertheless, I felt the pain. I felt that level of uncomfort every single day. And eventually, I learned my lessons. I needed to stop chasing and I needed to start attracting. I had the perception as a man that we have to hunt. We go out, we hunt the boar relentlessly, we bring it home to our family to feast on, right? That makes complete sense to me. It does. And I still think that's the case for a lot of things in life, right? But with certain things, it just doesn't work that way. Have you guys ever had a period of time where you're really down bad and you really want a girlfriend? So you download all of the dating apps, you exercise all of your options, right? You're hitting up the old chick in the DMs, whatever it is, right? You're chasing, but you don't ever find anything good when you're in that mindset. You get subpar results. You don't find wifey. But as soon as you stop caring, right? As soon as perhaps you give up on finding a woman and you focus on something else, maybe you start trying to build a business, boom, wifey appears. It's the same shit here. The more obsessed that I got with needing results, the more obsessed I got with numbers, the worse my results got. Have you ever been around someone who has just very bad energy? Maybe they're really nihilistic. Maybe they have a very warped black and white perception of the world. They're just very negative to be around. They suck the life out of you. They ruin your mental health. Every aspect of your life begins to suffer simply because you're just sharing the same room with them. If you don't look after your mental well-being during these tough times, you will end up as that person. You will push anything good for you away from entering your life, and you will only attract more negativity. When I was hustling the way I was pushing away abundance and certainty in favor of scarcity and uncertainty. You need to cultivate more abundance and certainty by being grateful for what you have. And again, I know this seems airy-fairy, and I had to destroy the same limiting beliefs that you might be having right now. Sam, this is gay. How do I start a 10K a month drop shipping business, Sam? Men have to build, Sam. This spiritual shit is for women. I understand. And I actually agree with you, men do have to build. But what if the most efficient and effective way for you to build is by simply being happy and, more importantly, fulfilled by what you're doing, what you're building? Why don't I stop trying to chase numbers on a screen and instead focus on making a tangible, positive difference in people's lives? And this is where my problems with hustle culture come in. When I think of the word hustle, it actually has very negative connotations attached to it. I think most people are driven towards hustling because they lack something that they want. Most people find themselves in a work cycle which comes from a place of scarcity. And with this mindset, your foundations to your business are going to be very unsteady. You might start off your work cycle with a lot of energy, but the energy is negative. And while you can utilize negative energy to get some results sometimes, there isn't much longevity in it. And frankly speaking, a lot of the results that people who find themselves hustling want are behind longevity. It's behind a number of years of doing the same thing every day over and over and over again. So it's important to choose to enjoy the process along with the results that come along with your hard work. Hustling seems to cut that out of the equation for a lot of people. There's a severe lack of of deep purpose and also aim. Working hard doesn't mean that you have to suffer. This is not a video of me telling you that you shouldn't work hard. Throughout that month, even when something good would happen, I didn't really even acknowledge it. There was no celebration, there was no like, hell yeah moment. It was just, oh, whatever, back to work. But I did have a magnifying glass on all of the failures I had. This was the vicious cycle that I was in, guys. Focusing on the bad and having a complete lack of focus on the good spiraled until I was at a breaking point. That breaking point is when I finally opened up to new ideas. It was a lesson that the world was trying to give me. My stubbornness was finally defeated and I was now learning from my mistakes. I had the humility to allow myself to feel that pain and that suffering non-judgmentally, without letting it destroy me or warp me. And I also had the humility to seek answers from outside influences, people who genuinely love me and root for me. And I got the answers I needed. And so, balance has been restored in the universe. I still work very hard, but I work from a different energy. And I also take care of myself. And I think you should work very hard too. But you should work with a sense of purpose bigger than yourself. And certainly, you should avoid working from a sense of scarcity and anxiety.